I love this episode with CJ because he actually owns a Keller Williams brokerage as well as a 6-person investing team. And he talks about why it takes so many more agents to do the same amount of business as he does on the investing side with a very lean team. So I guess you could tell us, like, what's an overview of everything your business does right now and where are you guys located?
Yeah, so I'm out of Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised. So I've actually been in real estate since 2010. I started as an agent. I was on a team for somebody, then I was a solo agent, and then I, from there, built my own real estate team. So over the years, building a real estate agent team, had the opportunity to buy a Keller Williams real estate franchise in 2020, a month before the pandemic hit, mind you. So the most money I ever spent in my entire life, a month before the pandemic hit. So you can imagine that was a super fun time. Yeah, and then, so we've been doing that for a long time. And then in like 2022, I was in a mastermind group and some of these guys were talking about investing, and that became a big conversation with flips and doing all these things. I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting thing. So we still have our real estate team. I'm not the operator of the real estate brokerage anymore, so I'm just it's kind of a silent partner. So our real estate team, and then we added in this sort of investment arm of our real estate business where we do the quick flips and the flips and all that kind of stuff. And so we've been cranking with that for a few years, and it's ups and downs and roller coasters, but it's going pretty well for us.
Well, congratulations. I love that you started out as an agent and then you learned and you worked on how to own the whole thing. And now you've added the real estate investment side. And how many agents would you have now, would you say, versus how many people work on the investment side?
So the agent side of the business, you just need more people. Like the investment side of the business, you can do a lot of business with 1 or 2 or 3 people and like really crank it out. The agent side of the business, I think because of where the business comes from, it's a lot of relationships. Like, hey, my aunt is buying a house, so I'm gonna help her. So you need more of that. Like you can buy leads in the retail space like that. It's just a little bit harder nowadays. Like it's really oversaturated. Leads have gotten super expensive. Everyone's selling everybody else's leads. It's gotten crazy. So you kind of like, we're back to almost old school techniques of like, hey, let me, do something so I can get in touch with people I know or do open houses. So it's like we kind of need a lot of agents to do enough business to make that side of the business work. Where the off market stuff, where our direct to seller, we just crank up marketing, get leads in, and we convert it and go. Just so it's 2 different businesses with different philosophies, but they do the same thing almost. It's like get a lead, convert it, go on an appointment, get a contract signed, right? It's like the same process, but just, completely different scripting.
So when did you realize that the investment side was something you should do? I mean, I know timeline wise, it was like 2020-ish.
Yeah, so I started my career as like, I got into real estate because I flipped houses. So, fast forward, like we did it for a couple years.
I missed that.
Yeah, so I don't think I said it.
So you became an agent because you were flipping houses originally.
I flip house, yeah. So I lived in South Carolina. I was living on the beach. I kind of sat down one day, had a yellow pad of paper, wrote down like what I wanted to do in my life. I call it my quarter life crisis. So one of the things was, hey, let's flip houses. I had no money. I was super broke, 24 years old. So I flew back to Cleveland, borrowed some money from my grandpa, flipped a few houses, made no money.
Oh, really?
But at the time, my agent that was helping me was a Keller Williams agent. And so I was calling her 100 times a day, trying to find deals. And she one day was like, CJ, like you're driving me crazy. Like just go get your real estate license. And this is before I knew any of the investing stuff that I know now and stuff we talk about in CG. This is years ago. So I became an agent and then, worked my butt off. But now fast forward, it's a whole different ballgame of how we find deals and how we do all that stuff.
Yeah. So back then there wasn't as much competition, so you could find a lot that was listed on the market.
I was just purely, and this was like, remember, this is like crash of 08, 09. So there were a million houses for sale. Like it's the opposite of what's now. Right now there might be 1 house for sale on a street, maybe. Then there would have been 10 or 15 houses for sale on one street. So you could just make offers on houses that were just on the market on the street and just lowball all of them and you get one eventually.
Yeah. Wow, times have changed.
Very different, yeah.
Maybe we'll come back to that.
I don't know, man. There's a piece of me that hopes we go back to that because I think it'll just eliminate so much competition. There's so many people that just, they got into this business thinking deals are easy. When like I got into it at literally the worst time you could probably ever get into real estate. So when I got into it, people thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, yeah, it worked out because I had to learn how to do this business when it was awful.
So on the investment side, you're doing lead generation, going direct to seller, and you could scale that up with only 3 people compared to the agents that need to do relationships, and that doesn't scale quite as much. So on the investment side, how are you guys doing the direct to seller marketing?
So I'm just one of those guys. So when I got into the investment side, like I'd already been in the business a while. So I was like, I want to just cut to the chase. Like I want to pay someone to learn how to do this. Like I'll spend the money to do it, so I wasted a lot of money trying everything just to see what worked. So we landed on direct mail.
Yep.
That seemed to be the thing that I just liked the best. Like I was pretty busy. So I was like, I can't spend the time doing the cold calling. I've done all that, right? So I was like, I need the best leads as fast as possible, and I'm willing to spend the money to do it. And so direct mail, like we did a lot. I think I tried every PPL source that was out there. And then the direct mail thing, we landed on it, and I never did it in my retail business of 15 years, never did it one time. And now all of a sudden I'm obsessed with this direct mail in this business. So now we're trying to play around like, hey, can we use this direct mail in the retail side of the business too?
Why didn't you like PPL?
I did like it at first. I really liked it at first. The challenge that we had, so I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, so Cuyahoga County is our county. And so the challenge I had was our county there's so many variations in property value, neighborhoods. Like it's not just one thing. There's so many different variables in all those. So I didn't like that I could target it. So we were getting so many leads in areas that we just couldn't put deals together. So we're direct mail. I like that I can sort it by zip code, and I can get into neighborhoods. Like I can get really specific on who I'm targeting, because I want to flip the houses that I want to target. Like I don't want to get leads, pay for leads that I just have no interest in.
Right.
And then they started to get saturated, and we'd call them 100 times and they'd never answer the phone. And then you find out they're kind of sharing leads with everybody. And, so we cut it out completely. We still run we run HomeLight a little bit just because it's like $50 a lead.
Okay.
So we're kind of like, well, might as well. It's pretty cheap for a lead nowadays.
Yeah, that is pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But most of it comes from direct mail. How long have you been direct mailing? So just a few years?
Man, so we honestly, like not that long. So like I said, I played around for just everything my first year. The end of my first year, we started direct mail, and I was sending like 1,000 a month. I was like, all right, this is interesting, and then we kind of went to 2,000, and then like the beginning of 2024, I was doing like maybe 3,000 a month, and now like sort of through last year to now, we're sending like 20 to 30,000 pieces a month. So I scaled it quickly, maybe a little bit too fast, and now like looking at it, like where I was just like, let's just run, like this works. Let's just put the foot on the gas pedal and rock and roll. Mm-hmm. Now I'm gonna pull back a little bit just so we can catch up with some of our, like we have now so many leads.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, we need to catch up on these leads because we only have a few people, so it's not like we have this big team.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to catch up on these leads before I just start spending. But we found a system that works for us that generates leads. It's so interesting. I've been in this business for a long time, and my entire career, every day when my feet hit the ground, it was like, all right, how do I find sellers who want to sell their house and that are motivated, right? Like I spent hours on the phone calling, researching. I've been at every event, training, coach that you could have. And now we kind of came into this investment world and it was like, oh, we found a way to find sellers that are raising their hand to say they want to sell their house. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking and going like, all right, well, how do we put this together with our retail side? But I'm like, oh, we've kind of found the magic bullet in this business of like motivated sellers. So now once we can control that seller, now there's so much opportunity for us, right? So it's like, okay, cool. We have a motivated seller. We can buy it, right? We can do all the things. We can list it, right? There's all the other creative stuff you can do with it. So it's once we figured out that that's the key to this, I'm like, oh yeah, let's rock and roll. Now it's like, how do we incorporate that in everything else we do?
Oh, so you're saying some of the marketing you're doing on the investment side actually generates stuff for your agents? Yeah.
So we're not perfect on this yet. It's one of my things. I'm here this week to try to learn of how do I capitalize more on this motivated seller who has raised their hand that they want to sell a house, mm-hmm. right? Like if we can't put a cash deal together with them, what are the other options that we can do with them? Mm-hmm. Because they're there, but maybe we can't put it together with cash, but can we list it with our retail team mm-hmm. or do any of these other crazy things that people are doing?
I think you can.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one thing would be novations, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a fine line with the agent stuff. Okay. I need to just figure out like how does that legally work and fiduciary duties and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's something I'm looking to explore.
Got it. Any others come to mind that you're expecting to hear about?
As far as what?
Options that you can help somebody who's raised their hand that's wanting to sell a motivated house?
Yeah, there's I've heard of a couple different things. Some of the guys last night were telling me where they do equitable interest. I don't know if that sounds right, but something like that where you kind of, maybe if they're behind on a mortgage or something, you pay it off for them and then you're sort of in the deal with them. So I don't know. So I'm new to this side of the business still. Like my brain always goes, well, list it, put it on the market.
Yeah, I think that's called subject to. If they're behind on their mortgage, and they can bring them current, and they can give them a couple $1,000s, they'll walk away. So they'll take over the mortgage payment and the house, and then they could either wholesale that or they just keep it themselves as a cash flowing asset.
Yeah. So what they were saying. So the subject to, which we have not even dabbled. Again, my brain is so real estate agent trained that all this creative stuff, it's so new and exciting, and there's so much of it. It's like, okay, like again, I've been around long enough and made enough mistakes to know just do one thing really good. Like don't try a million things. Like find a couple things that work and then just hit them hard.
Yeah.
But there's these things I'm going, okay, well, I'm missing something in here where I know I could be, the money that we spent on Q1 of this year, I'm like, man, I could generate more revenue somehow in there. I know it. Like I'm kind of a data nerd with how we, with what our business is doing, and so I know that there's more revenue in there somewhere.
Okay. Well, seeing that you're a data nerd, do you have any like KPIs you could share?
Yeah. What do you want to know about?
What's important for you? What's on your company scorecard? High level that you're looking at every Monday with your team.
So for us, it starts with the mail. How many we sent out, how much we spent on it, how many total call-ins we get. If it's like a dead lead, a lot of people want it to be removed from our mailing list versus an actual lead. Then appointment set, appointment held, offers made, and contract signed. So those are like kind of the big ones that we track every day.
You got 20,000 mail sent out is on the top line, right?
Yep.
How many calls would that generate?
So we're getting, this is like a weird number, but we're getting, total call-ins like 0.061% call-in.
Okay.
Which is okay from what I understand. I know it seems crazy. People that don't do mail, they're
it's not 0.06%. Oh yeah, 0.06%, or is it
percent?
0.06% out of the number? Okay.
Yeah. I know what you're saying because you've done the math both ways.
Yeah.
I know where your brain's going with that. And then, so from that, then let's just say, I forget the actual percentage of it, but let's say we get 200 total call-ins. I don't know the number. Maybe 100 of them will be remove me from your list, and then 100 of them will be actual leads. And then from there, we're setting about 30 appointments from there on average, depending. Again, I'm using sort of generic numbers, but it's sort of an ish.
And then the other ones you're disqualifying because they're not actually motivated, right? That's why you wouldn't set an appointment. So
here's the part. The way that I learned, my first coach that I had when I got into this direct-to-seller business, his whole philosophy, and I'm contemplating now whether this is right or wrong, but because it was just me coming out of the gate, he's like, go on every appointment, make an offer at every appointment that you're on. So we've sort of stayed with that philosophy. And what we're finding is that my acquisitions guy is sort of wasting a lot of time.
So now you can refine that.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, let's pre-qualify, like you're saying, a little bit more.
Yeah, but you did say it already drops from 100 to 30. So what's the difference there that you're filtering out? You said you got like 100 calls in, then you got 30 appointments.
Yeah, no, this is good. Let's get into this because this is actually what we're working on right now. So what we were doing is we'd have the calls come in. I use Ruby Receptionist to answer the calls.
Okay.
It's like a virtual phone company. It's like just,
is that a person or AI?
Person.
Okay.
So it's a live receptionist that answers. So if someone calls at midnight, someone's answering the phone.
Yeah, that's good.
Like at first, I had all the calls just go to voicemail. Again, I was busy. I don't want to take the calls.
Yeah.
So at first, all the calls went to voicemail. And then we were getting people like calling over and over like, hey, we just want to talk to somebody. Even though I was calling them back, it just wasn't connecting.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's get a live receptionist to answer it.
Yep.
So they're answering the calls. Like, cool, that solved that problem. But then what happened was the pass off now between receptionist to my acquisitions person. So the people might be motivated, but now my acquisitions guy can't get in touch with that lead because it's been an hour, 10 minutes. There's been a lag time now because we don't live transfer. So in the past 2 weeks, I hired a lead manager to replace the receptionist.
Nice.
Which I'm hoping will now increase that conversion ratio you're talking about. So if we have 100 people that want to sell,
I get it,
to convert those more to get more appointments instead of that extra step of doing the handoff.
Yeah, I mean, and think if you could close the gap from going from 100 to 30 to 100 to 60 even, I mean, and everything else stays the same in your funnel, that's actually doubling the revenue you're pulling from those, right?
Yeah.
From that marketing effort.
Yeah. And so, yeah, man. So like all that stuff is like, look, like that's what I like about business. I like well, let's try it. It works for a little bit and it's fine. When I don't want to spend money, like doing the voicemails was fine. You know what I mean? It was free. Or maybe I think I paid for Call Fire, which might have been $30 a month or something. It's okay. That's fine. When I'm first doing this, like, I don't know if this is work. I'm sort of beta testing everything. And then it's like, okay, we started working a little bit. Now let's step it up a little bit. Okay, Ruby. Okay, it was costing that. Now let's get a lead manager. Like, okay, let's play with that. And, you know, then where do we go? It's like, I like that step by step of building the layers on top of each other and then seeing the results from it. You know, it's a little bit harder now that I'm not in the business every day as much, where I'm not the one going on the appointments. I'm not the one taking the calls, so I can't be like real time analyzing everything. So it's a little bit harder. That's what I'm working on now as I sort of level up the businesses overall. But it's what I like doing.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Seems like you could make some big adjustments there, and you already have, getting rid of Ruby and answering that yourself. Was that hard to find a lead manager to come in full time, or like what was the qualifications for that?
Man, you know, so I went back and forth on this for a long time. I've had inside sales people on my reels, you know, I've never had an inside sales person work out for me. So I was really hesitant. I was like, why do you want leads to go to acquisitions people, like the sales people?
Yeah.
Because they're trained. But finding in this side of the business is different than retail, where like you can generate a lot of leads and they get really busy really fast. So like I hemmed and hawed about doing a lead manager, but talking to some of the guys in the CG group, they're like, it's gonna change your business completely having a lead manager instead of doing it. So I was like, okay, do I find a local person? Do I find an international employee from the Philippines? Do I go to Latin America? Where do I go? What does this all look like? And so I had a lot of conversations, a lot of phone calls, and just people exploring, interviewed companies, and you know, so we landed on using 80/20 Recruit.
Okay.
And they found us someone that was in Latin America.
Okay.
And the guy actually happened to be, I mean, so let me just preface this as, I don't know if this is going to work out. I'll come back in like 6 months and tell you if this has worked out or not. It's 'cause I've listened to podcasts and things like that before. Like, here's what we're going to do. And it's like, well, it's actually not tested yet. So this is just I'm excited about it because it's new, but I don't know. I mean, I could fly back to Cleveland tomorrow and he might have been not working for the last 2 days. Totally. I don't know, you know?
Yeah. What podcasts do you listen to, by the way?
I listen to a lot of podcasts nowadays. So again, it depends on where I'm at and what I'm doing and what I'm, you know, how I'm evolving. I'm listening to a lot of real estate investing podcasts right now. I'm a big comedy fan though.
Which ones?
Man, who do you listen to? Who do you get into?
I mean, I've listened to the Bigger Pockets podcast.
Yeah, Bigger Pockets. Yeah, so in my drive, like into the office, I'm listening to like a business or motivation, something to kind of get me going for the day. And then coming home in the afternoon, I listen to like a comedy or something like chill, not business, just to get my brain off of it.
Yeah. Have you ever done stand-up?
No, not. Have you?
I have, actually.
Have you really?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It was great. I'll do it again. I think if I did it again, I would even fine-tune it and it would be even funnier.
You should do it.
Yeah. I mean, I just have a lot of hobbies, right? So.
Do you?
Kinda. Mostly I race cars and spend a lot of time doing that. One of the things you said that resonated with me is that it's important to focus. Otherwise, I'll just be like okay at everything and not really great at one thing. So I've really tried to focus and not spread myself out so thin.
So I'm curious you have the podcast, you have the cameras, you have a big social media account, you know, you have your business. Like what's the thing that like gives you the most fulfillment, and what's the thing that like does the best for your business for like what you do as kind of like the guy?
Well, I mean, I'm super into race car driving. So it's my third year driving, and I used to get lapped, and then I got a coach, and I actually won a race. And that was really exciting. And
you got a coach for people. You got a coach. That helps a lot.
Yeah, race car driving coach.
Yeah.
And it felt great to be good at something, and totally unrelated to work. And so, I mean, that's just a good like confidence booster. And it also like requires a lot of focus.
Yeah.
It requires a focus to go fast for a long period of time. If you make a mistake, somebody's behind you going to catch up to you, and
Yeah.
then you have the same car, so you're not going to pass them back. It's like, so you have to really focus for a long time in order to go as fast as possible without making a mistake to win a race. So it was a challenge for me. It was like adrenaline fun for me. It's
How fast do you go?
My car goes like 140, but it's around the turns is what matters. So I'll put it in this way. So I have a Ferrari 458 Spider, and that has a 570 horsepower engine. It goes 165 miles per hour on the back straightaway of Circuit of the Americas, which is a pretty long straightaway.
Wow.
So now
I know nothing about that. Can you drive that on the street?
Yeah, it's like a street car.
Yeah, okay.
Totally. And every Ferrari that you see is pretty much a street car.
Okay.
But my point is, my race car only goes 140, but it would do a much better lap time around the circuit than my Ferrari.
Oh,
and the race car only has 300 horsepower, but it's because the race car is a purpose-built machine, and it has way more corner grip. It makes all its speed around the corners.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's how fast can you go around the whole track, not just on the straightaways.
Oh, interesting.
And that's the big difference between a race car and a street car, typically.
Interesting. But I feel like just hearing you talk about that, it sounds like there's a lot of business lessons in race car driving.
Dude,
like what you're saying sounds like starting a business, and like I sucked at first.
Yeah.
It was really hard, and then I got a coach and I got better, and I did this, I saw this, and I improved this, and I got better.
Yes, and one of the big outstanding lessons from race car driving that I just thought of it when you said that, is let's say a race is 20 minutes long, okay? And you go across country to be at that race. And you bring your car, you bring your coach, you practice 2 days, before the actual race. Now, let's say you have a passing opportunity, but it's like a bit iffy. The opportunity might not come again, and then the race is going to be over, and you'll have a second place finish. And so my coach is always telling me, when you see the opportunity, you have to make it happen right now, because you don't know what's going to happen the rest of the race. The race might get like a yellow flag for the rest of the race, which means no passing because there was an accident, right? So somebody else might get an accident, and then the opportunity passed. So when you have an opportunity and you could see it, it's so important to take advantage of it right now, because it might not come again.
So I'm curious, and I don't know how the podcast normally goes, of like, you built a successful business. Like what opportunity have you seen in your life that you've taken, in the last handful of years?
This came to play for me when so we've been around for 8 years as a company, DealMachine.
Yeah.
And so the whole time we started as a driving for dollars app. And then a year and a half ago, we really unlocked the ability to filter by skip tracing data and make that available as part of the subscription, and match the consumer data with the property data, so you don't have to like pay per house. But you could also filter by consumer info, like the owner's age, the language they speak, what job that they have. So like it's like a whole file on the person that we've been able to match with the properties, which is unique in the marketplace. I don't think anyone else actually has that. And so it's grown a lot for us as people have realized that. So our biggest customer was maybe like $150, and we just have a lot of customers, But this year, we had some customers that I discovered, they had 6 DealMachine accounts, and they had to have 6 different emails. I'm like, what is going on? What are you guys doing? And they found out you could export 100,000 properties per month in each account. And they were running call centers. They were cold calling.
Because they were capped off in
and
each
they're
account.
Like, dude, you guys give us, we were spending $9,000 for this much data that you give us for $599 a month. So we wanted more, And so in a big amount of these people are not only call centers for real estate, but a couple other industries, right? So I received one of these inbound leads. I called him. He said, yes, I want one of these $599 accounts. It lets me export that much per month. And I was like, where can I find more people like you? And he's like, well, there's this conference going on in Vegas, but it starts today. And he's like, you're too late, but here's some other ones. And I was like, I don't think I'm too late. So I hopped on a plane at 3 p.m. And then I went to the conference for 2 days and learned a whole bunch about cold calling in his industry. So, and they were doing solar panels by chance,
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I didn't know anything about it, but was like, yeah, I could wait for the next one to come up, but I think I need to go figure this out right now because this guy, people spend as much as $8,000 a month on DealMachine now because of the homeowner data that they can get and then export.
Really?
So that was an example of like, well, I just need to go right now. I don't know what's going to happen next year. I need to go take advantage and learn about it right now. So
love that. So I'm curious in this, maybe this isn't a podcast conversation, but so we currently use DataFlick.
Okay.
And what we're finding is that the estimated values are like drastically off.
Oh, the properties. Okay.
Yeah, for the property value. So I had a conversation with someone yesterday at the pool. He was telling me about the script that he wrote, and he kind of goes and finds the data. Excuse me. And he was like, why? I was like, how'd you figure out how to do this? Like, well, I asked ChatGPT. I was like, well, that's really interesting. So last night I was playing around with it. I was asking ChatGPT of like compare values of some of these like data providers with the Zillow's estimate. And it was kind of like giving me some different options. So I'm curious so DealMachine, you guys can find data? Like, can you filter it down by, all the things that everybody else does?
There's more in DealMachine typically. So we have the estimated value as well, which you should definitely check out because we just updated it to be updating on a weekly basis. And so before we just updated on like a yearly basis. So some niche market or streets in your area in Ohio, as you said, it just changes so much. It could change in a year, right? I'm guessing.
For sure. I mean, especially in the last few years, it's been up and down.
So that's been a recent update. So people like to filter by the estimated rehab costs. So like we have the ability to filter by building condition. So it can give you an estimated rehab cost based on how the image looks.
Oh, interesting.
And the estimated values in the area. So that's a couple ways that people are filtering the data by.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I'll have to check you guys out.
Yeah.
Did you guys always do data like that? I didn't think so.
It was an evolution, and it's about a year and a half ago that we came out with more on some really cool data, filterability, and then the consumer data as well, matched with properties. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I don't know if you have any rental properties.
No. So I sold all my rentals when I bought my brokerage.
Good for you.
And then, so now we're looking, depending on rates, but I was like, let's build the businesses. Let's build as much cash as we can, and then let's get that, and then I'll go buy rentals.
Yep.
Which I probably lean into multifamilies. So
the only reason I bring it up is because you could look at your own rental properties and see that it has the current tenant that's accurate. Not only will it have you, the owner, but it'll say, oh, this tenant lives here, right? And then it'll have your phone number, their phone number. And people kind of, when they see that, they're like, oh man, that's accurate. Because with data, everyone says their data is the best. So I can't say that because it sounds like nothing. Everybody says that.
Everybody says
I always look for specific examples that could illustrate, what the advantage of the data is.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to play with what you guys said. Maybe we can chat after. I'm curious to hear more. Cool.
Yeah. So we got off on a tangent because we talked about race car driving and business lessons and all that. So
wait, can I ask you one more question before? I don't know if you're wrapping it up, but so I'm curious So this is what I want to know. So DealMachine podcast, you own DealMachine.
Yes.
You're spending time in Florida to do podcasts. Like you've lined up a handful of them. You're doing them.
Yes.
You're filming them. You have all these cool cameras.
Yes.
Why do you do this?
Yeah. So the original reason is this. My business, it started out, we grew to like 10 million in revenue without doing any marketing at all. I created this tool for myself, for my own real estate investing, that I put on the App Store so somebody else could use it in my market, and then word spread because it was a good product market fit. It was driving for dollars. You know what that is. It's like when you look for a rundown house.
Yep.
You could pin the house, and then it would send mail to the owner. So that was the original tool, and it was just spoken about in groups like Collective Genius, but especially more on like the beginner side. Where driving for dollars is more of a common strategy. So it spread out, and we really gained a lot of momentum from that. But then we kind of hit a peak, and a few of the people that would recommend DealMachine on YouTube, they kind of created their own apps. There's like 9 copycat apps all of a sudden. And most of them didn't work out, but one did. And it definitely took some mind share, I feel like, from us. And so I was like, man, realized we don't have a marketing team, but most of our marketing was people, not only word of mouth, but on social media. So it was important for me to learn the skill at some level, the same skill that was so important that actually drove my business, right? Because my business grew on social media, just not mine. And so that's why I took the challenge for a whole year. I was going to post 4 times every day. And I did that. And that was like 3 years ago. And so I went from like 3,000 followers to 10,000, nothing too crazy. But then I said, well, I'm going to do 1 post a day. I'm going to just try to make it a really good post. And so that was whenever I hit like 5 posts that year that each got me like 20,000 followers because they just went viral. And there was like a CTA of like, well, follow me if you guys want to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
And then people, so that's how I got most of my followers.
Oh, really?
Yes. And but yeah, that it was more about like, well, I just want to know the skill. I just want to know. So I have a better context for how my business works, for how it's being shared with other people. So
so coming here this morning,
you're like you don't need to be the lead manager, but you're coming here to learn like the basics of lead managing.
Yeah.
You know?
No, for sure. So I was coming here this morning and I was going, man, this guy is doing a podcast with me, someone who doesn't really know.
Well, actually, it's great for you because now we get to meet.
Yeah, this is a great conversation. So I'm like at 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever day this is, Tuesday morning, in Florida, in a hotel room. And the thing that I thought about, I looked up your podcast, you post all the time. I was like, that's consistent.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's really consistency of like, so I'm like, he's not just doing this as a one-off, I'm going to shoot a podcast. You're going, I'm going to be purposeful about setting up these times with people, like getting out there, doing it, like reaching out to them. Like, we've not really known each other. So it's like, I was really impressed just thinking about the consistency that you have. And like, so how do you stay consistent with that of like, okay, I have a goal. Like most people set up a podcast, they film 1 or 2 episodes. And that's that. And then you've done a bunch and you do it consistent. Like, so why? Well, how? What's that look like?
Yeah. So I have a marketing team that says, David, we don't have any podcasts from you this week. So they've got the schedule.
You're paying for them.
They have the schedule, right? And so I have to feed them. So that they have what they need to hit their metrics, to do what they need to do for me on my scorecard. Otherwise, their scorecard looks bad. So I'm just.
But why do you care about that though? Because I know that feeling of, I heard these people do something, they're bugging you, and you're going, oh. And then I've been the bottleneck.
Yeah.
That's going, well, maybe we just don't. I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like lugging my camera equipment through the airport.
Yeah.
Like what keeps you going on that?
Dude, I mean, so just imagine if you did your whole business, but you didn't talk to any homeowners and you were just behind a computer all day. There's an element of it for me that's energizing to come out and get to meet and talk with people like yourself. Some of them who are customers, some of them who, aren't, but I can hear what you're trying to learn, right? It's so refreshing to get out from behind the computer and actually have a conversation. Yeah. And this is a conversation we probably have at the bar or in the hallway.
For sure.
But it's also recorded, and it's to me more purposeful because you actually, it's a time. We can actually get into more detail during that. So there's multiple elements of it.
Yeah. I'm telling you, like the consistency is it seems to be the hardest thing for most people. Just 100%. Again, I've been around for a long time. Yes. I've coached and trained, done it myself, been through it all. Like that, doing that and staying on that is not easy. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you so much. It was especially hard on the social media side when I was doing 4 a day because they weren't getting a lot of likes because I wasn't good at social media and I'd have to post it anyway. But it helped me knowing that there were 3 more posts coming that day. So it made me forget about, that one's bad, because I knew the next one was coming right after it. So the consistency helped me get over the fear of doing it at all, which would cripple or stop me from doing it, completely. But yeah, I think making that commitment and sticking to it is a good feeling. Yeah. Even if it didn't get a lot of likes or wasn't successful, it would feel good to me to have done what I said I was going to do.
That's cool. Yeah, because a lot of people, they start on social media or podcasts and the views or likes is not much. Have been there. Yeah. I'm averaging about 120 views on my TikTok right now, so I'm really crushing that. Yeah. But it's discouraging. You go, well, this is why I keep doing it. So what's the thing that got you through? Like, why did you keep doing it if you weren't getting a lot of likes? And and then why don't you just switch to I don't know, networking events or, something like that? Like, what was the thing that kept you rolling with the social media and podcasts and everything?
Yeah, well, remember I had kind of a scary moment in business. So that like fear drives a lot of action. And I came out of that analyzing the whole situation, saying to prevent this fear from happening, I'll know and develop this skill myself. And that was really important to me coming off of that scary moment. And so that was like a huge reason why. And then I also just was like, well, I'm going to just not give up and I'll eventually learn something, hopefully, because I just won't give up. And then you will be successful at anything if you just don't quit. So that was another reason. Now it's been like 3 years or so that I've been doing the podcast and social media on Instagram.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Well, this has gone great. Thanks for asking me so many questions.
I'm fascinated. I think like you're a successful guy. I'm curious. I'm one of those people where it's like, I don't have it all figured out. Like I've been fortunate to have a lot of success, and it's just interesting to hear like, okay, well, what do you do? Right.
Yeah. Well, I guess where do we leave off on you though? So you're coming here, you hired the lead manager, you're trying to find out how to utilize more of your leads that you're turning away because they're unqualified. You feel like you could monetize more of those. So hopefully this week, I think this is the right group. You've been a member of CG for how long?
Not long. So only since January.
Okay.
So this is my second Collective Genius event.
What was one of the biggest things you learned previously on the last meeting?
So the first one, it's just a lot. It's overwhelming. I'd been in a couple different mastermind groups before. So it's not my first go around and getting at them. I'm not naturally the most social guy, so it takes me a time or two. Surprises me. I'm good like this, but to get out there, if there's a big group, I'm like, oh, this is, I don't like the fluff talk of just, how are you? Oh, the weather's nice. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I like to just kind of get right into the conversation. So it's just for us to scale our flips is something that I see a lot of these guys do really well, and that we have not mastered yet. So it's one of these things of me being in this group, like not only to capitalize on the leads that we have, but also like how do we get our flips really dialed in? I see some of these guys doing it, and I go, we can do that, and I know that we can blow it out of the water. We just haven't mastered yet of what that process looks like. Yeah,
scaling flips is tough. I know people do it, but you have so many variables, that come into play that just cause delays, and that's what's tough. And money outlaid, funding all the flips too. So
yeah, I know it's a business. I think people are like, well, I'm going to flip houses, and myself. And you look at it and go, well, you have to manage people. That it's literally managing people is that job. Is flipping houses. Like, of course, you have to have numbers and know real estate and comps and all that, and what needs to go into a house. But at the end of the day, like, unless you're doing the work yourself, like, you have to manage people and keep them on a timeline and keep them there and all the things that go with it.
Yeah. Well, you'll figure it out. I know people do like 50 flips a year, like flips, not just wholesale deals.
Legit flips.
Yeah.
We'll get there. It's just I'm gonna bump my head a few times, but that's how I am. I'm gonna figure out, navigate, and see what it looks like, and try different things until it works.
Yeah.
And hopefully in a year or two, I'm back here talking about how many flips we're doing in a month.
Absolutely. Well, I'll try to find the right referral for you. I know I've interviewed a couple people who've really scaled the flipping side, even in the Premier group. So I'll think about that episode and let you know.
Love that.
I'll send it to you.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much.
Dude,
it was
great.
A pleasure getting to know you a little bit.
Sure.
And good to meet you as well. And I hope I could be of help in some way. And this has been great for everybody listening.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys get something out of it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.